Show. Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, we continue today with a very special week on Chef AJ Live, dedicated to the graduates of Victoria Moran's Main Street Vegan Academy. And our graduate today is Nancy Travis, not the Nancy Travis that is in the show Kaminsky Method, although that would be nice to meet her as well, but a totally different Nancy Travis, who is going to tell us her story about becoming vegan, going to the academy, and also making a quinoa curry salad. And she's going to show us how to elevate our quinoa. I can't wait to see what that means. Please welcome Nancy to the show. Nice to meet you all the way from Bainbridge Island, which I never even heard about until today.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, and it's really exciting and an honor to meet you, Chef AJ.
Well, thank you for the work you do, and I can't wait to hear all about it. But first, let's start with your story. When did you become vegan and why?
Well, I became vegan in the early 90s after I read a book called Diet for a New America by John Robbins. And I was in my late 20s, and I also was dating someone who became my husband. And we both really thought that it made sense from an environmental point of view. And we actually were very involved in Earth Save. John Robbins is like kind of an organization that kind of came out of people who had read Diet for New America. And in fact, we organized and did a lot of events with Earth Save Seattle. And then I was just going along, and then I decided to have kids, and my family, who was very supportive of my choice up until then, was like, wait a second, you can't bring kids into this whole crazy vegetarian vegan thing. But I did, and that's actually when I started becoming interested in the health aspects of veganism, because I wanted to raise healthy vegan children. So, and that's kind of how it got started. And from there, I raised two vegan children. I have a 25-year-old going to be 26 and a 22-year-old going to be 23 in just a month or so. And I have been a personal chef and a private chef for the last 15 years, helping people one-on-one, but also cooking for people in their homes. And recently, I decided, when I'd heard about Victoria Moran and actually knew about her for a long time. I listened to her podcast, and I decided to attend the Main Street Vegan Academy because I kind of grew up, or I kind of became a vegan at a time when I was kind of given the advice, don't preach. Don't tell anybody what to do. Let them be them, you be you, and not speaking out a lot about it. And I decided that I really wanted to make a change and speak out and be more of a vegan activist. And so I attended her academy. I was so glad that it was, I known about it when it was not online. And I was like, well, that's a big commitment to go to New York and all that stuff. But I decided to go when it became online. And it was a really wonderful experience of kind of going to vegan school, as I told my family, because it's like, even though I knew a lot of the stuff, it's just really good to kind of energize and put a spark back in my kind of like, why did I do this? It was really wonderful. And the connections with other graduates is fantastic. It's a really awesome program.
I love that vegan school.
Yeah.
So What year do you remember that you read A Diet for a New America?
Well, it must have been since I married my former husband now, but I married that husband in 93. And so I must have been reading it in 91 or 2. A lot of people have these like, oh, this is the date I became vegan or whatever. If I had known that I was going to be quizzed 30 years later about that, I would have made better note of it. But I'm not exactly sure. It was in like 91, 92, somewhere around there is my.
Did you change your diet immediately after reading the book?
Yes. We became vegan. I mean, a vegetarian right away. And then because I was always kind of a cooking, I did a lot of cooking growing up. I was exposed to a lot of different ethnic cuisines, and my family they were foodie family, and especially my father. And so cooking was always something that I did a lot of. So I went to the Natural Gourmet. It's now called the Natural Gourmet Institute, but back in the day, it was called the Natural Gourmet Cookery School. And Amory Colvin was the founder of that school. And I went and I studied natural, it was kind of slightly macrobiotic, kind of natural foods with her. And that was in 93, I think.
So you've been at this a long time.
Yeah. And then after that, I was very interested in macrobiotics, and I went to the Vega Institute, which is like the West Coast Kushi Institute. The Vega Institute is no longer, but it was a macrobiotic practitioner, Herman Ihara, and he had a whole school in Oroville, California, kind of near Sacramento, kind of near Sacramento, Chico area, really. And I did an intensive there, learning about macrobiotics. And then I studied with some macrobiotic teachers in Seattle. But the big thing we did was my then husband and I opened a vegetarian fast food restaurant.
Oh my God, you have to talk to me about this.
So we did. So this is like 94, something like that, 95. We had 3 locations. We had a commissary kitchen kind of idea. So we had one kitchen where we did the cooking, and then the outlets kind of, we had 3 restaurants total. And so then we cooked in one of the restaurants, had a big kitchen, and we cooked in that kitchen for the other 2, 3, for all 3 locations. And and that was wraps and roll noodle bowls and rice bowls. We had a place in Seattle that actually did a custom noodle for us, and we were doing things with quinoa. We were doing things with millet. This was a long time ago.
Wow, that's incredible. That having a restaurant's really difficult, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It was. It's a very delicate balance. We had at one point a staff of over 40 people, but it slowly chinked away, and we closed the restaurant in 97. And it was really hard. I had my daughter in 96, and so I was out of the picture. It was too much. We also were living on Bainbridge Island, and we were commuting into Seattle, and so that's a lot. So around 97 is when we closed. We slowly closed things down.
What was the name of your restaurant?
It was called Sunspot Quick Green Cuisine.
I love it. I love it. People always say to anybody that's a halfway decent vegan chef, you should open a restaurant. And I'm like, that's like the last thing I want to do. People don't, I mean, not that other people's jobs aren't hard, but people don't realize how hard it is running a restaurant, working in a restaurant, you know?
Yeah, well, I did it again recently. I had a grab and go. I mean, I had a little soup business for a while, and then I had a little grab and go here on Bainbridge Island where I would make food. I would just do soups and salads, but I was also serving my clients as well. I was still going out to people's homes and cooking for them. So I was like working like 70 hours a week, and you just cannot keep that stuff up for very long. I did that for 2 years. I think it was 2014 to 2016, something like that. But now my dream is to win the lottery, to hire an amazing staff and be the executive chef. And I only want to do it for selfish reasons. I just want a restaurant near me that has good vegan options, which unfortunately around here there's not that many.
Yep. Oh, wow. Well, that's something. There's a question from Cindy who's watching live, and she said, I haven't read Diet for New America. Is it worth reading after I'm already eating this way?
I don't know. I think reading John Robbins' books are, I think they're very interesting, and I might recommend reading because Diet for New America was his first one, but I've never thought of that. I mean, it's as relevant as it is today. I mean, unfortunately, probably some of the statistics in there are just worse. But it really is the first, I think he was the first one who really made it. I mean, Francis Moore Lapay as well, but he really kind of brought in that whole, like, how the environment is being impacted by animal agriculture. I think it's interesting. I don't know if you really are into the statistics and wanting something that is super up to date. I don't think it's definitely not up to date.
But it definitely inspired a lot of people of that generation to change their diet.
Yeah, definitely. I do meet those people every once in a while, and it's like, yeah, you get me. You know why you've been at it a while, and you were inspired by John Robbins, and he's still, I think he and his son are really inspiring what they're doing. So.
Wow. So both your pregnancies, they were vegan pregnancies?
Yeah.
That's like amazing, because that was way back in the day. There
was one book, Michael Clapper's book. He had a thin green book on vegan pregnancy. And I'm pretty sure Marsha Benson was on the cover. And that was the book that I got. And then I actually, halfway through my pregnancy with my first child, I went and actually did the authors of Becoming Vegan and Becoming Vegetarian, Visanto Molina and Brenda Davis. I actually did a consult with Visanto Molina because she lived in Seattle at the time. I did a couple of consults because I just wanted to be extra sure. And then as far as like my doctor, we didn't go to the doctor a lot. I did a lot of just my kids were pretty healthy. But I didn't really go in. He was vegan friendly, but we didn't really talk a lot about their diet. And I always just assured him that I was doing great research. So he kind of left me alone.
That's fantastic. And so your kids, they are happy being vegan?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because there were people that told me, just wait till they're 16 and they're just going to go to McDonald's and eat hamburgers and things like that. And my kids, always assured me, they're like, we might do other things, but we're definitely not eating a dead animal carcass. so, you don't have that ever in your life. There's, you're not inclined to want to partake. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Wow.
And
So I'm guessing
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was saying, I'm guessing they've enjoyed good health, as have you.
Yeah. I mean, vegans die, vegans have health problems, but generally I think my kids are pretty healthy, and they enjoy being vegan. My son is, he's 22 and somewhat on his own. He's about to graduate from college, and he does some cooking, and he calls me and asks me how to do stuff, but he's a pretty simple guy. He's like rice and beans and salsa kind of kid. My daughter, she is a massage therapist and loves making food and doing her own thing. So yeah, it's great.
Right. Gina says she just listened to Diet for New America, and she's been doing this lifestyle for 10 years. And somebody else mentioned that because thanks for the book recommendation. I don't know if I ever read it, because I think I became vegan before it even came out.
Yeah. I mean, there's also I don't even know if I don't think it ever was on a DVD, but there is a movie. He had a movie called Diet for New America. I had it on, I don't even remember what those, what are those things called?
A VHS, DVD.
VHS, yes. I had it on a VHS because, but I don't know if you can watch it anywhere, but I think it's the Food Revolution, is his business now, and they're doing a lot of good stuff promoting vegan, vegetarian diets. So
excellent. So you teach classes. Are they in person, virtual, or both?
Well, before the pandemic, they were all in person. I never even dreamed of doing something on video, but now I do both. I am a Food for Life instructor, so I do Food for Life classes, and those I do through my website, and I also do classes in person and online through the Bainbridge Artisan Resource Network that's called The Barn. And that is our local maker space here on Bainbridge Island. And we have a beautiful commercial kitchen that I can teach classes in. I'm actually about to teach a class online though, which is vegan meal prep. And this is where we go through setting yourself up. And I do it from my house because I actually show people my fridge. I show people how I store my food. I show people how I organize everything, as well as all the different tips and tricks I have for making quick meals, because I learned, by doing a lot of personal chefing, I've learned how to, do some shortcuts, how to make 3 things at once, how to think about meals. And I try to share a little bit of that wisdom with the people who take my class. So
that's great. Fantastic. Yeah. What kind of things do you like to make, and what kind of things do you like to eat?
Well, I grew up in a, like I said, my family were foodies. And so I never had a tuna casserole or a corned beef sandwich or any of those kinds of things, kind of more typical American fare. And so my comfort food is really stir fries. I do a lot of stir fries. I do a lot. We do a lot of Buddha bowls because I can prep those ahead of time. I do, or grain bowls. Some people call them monk bowls, Buddha bowls. I love doing sushi because I grew up eating a lot of sushi. I love doing anything like Asian style noodles and, soba noodles, one of my favorite. But I cook everything. I do a lot of Indian food. I kind of go on little jaunts on different cuisines. I do a lot of Indian food. I do, or I should say, Indian inspired food. I'm now getting into some Mexican food because my son is dating a young lady from Mexico, and I've been having a really fun time learning from her some different things. And yeah, and I've been accused, people have asked me if I'm Greek before because they're like, I do a lot of middle Mediterranean style food as well. So yeah.
Okay. There's a question about your classes from Gina. Is it a food prep class? Is it a cooking class? Is it both?
It's both. So it's the first, it's a 2-session class. And it's next week. It's the first session is more, there's no cooking demo. It's more showing you different things, different pans, different showing my pantry, all that kind of stuff, just like how to think about food prepping. And this is way beyond batch cooking. I do some batch cooking, but I don't do a ton of it, but I kind of help people figure out what's going to make the best system for their family. And then the second section is actually me doing meal prep. And I don't know ahead of time. I tell people I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to depend on what I need in my rotation. And I talk about that. And then I send everybody an email at the end of the session, and they get all the recipes and all my tips and tricks. And then it's also very interactive. So if they have a question, like they have a family of 5, or if it's just cooking for them, for one person, I give tips on how to, and people can ask questions of what my ideas are for that. So I don't think there's any set right way for any family to do this. The most important thing is make it work for you.
Right. Well, Susanna says, since you like the Buddha bowls and the stir fries, she's wondering what kind of sauces are you using on them?
I do different things. I make a teriyaki kind of sauce because I like that. I don't sometimes just do balsamic vinegar. I'm a big fan of the balsamic vinegar, just plain. I've done some creamy, I love cilantro. I mean, if I could have my lawn cilantro, I would totally do that. I love the smell. I love cilantro. So I do a lot of cilantro, like creamy cilantro dressings. It just, sometimes it's I've made like, a cheese sauce with carrots and potato and onion, kind of the typical kind of vegan cheese sauce. I use that. It's kind of sometimes whatever I have in the fridge to kind of turn into a sauce for my Buddha bowl.
Nice. Well, it's cilantro. You either love it or hate it, but I don't know if you know this, but John Robbins, who is the reason you're vegan, he actually dislikes cilantro.
I did not know that. Well.
And the only reason I know that is I was a chef. I was the head chef on a Meals for Health project that he was involved with many years ago. And it was made clear that he did not like it at all.
Stay away from the cilantro.
Absolutely. Okay, so Kathy says, my biggest issue with eating healthy vegan is the refrigeration. There's never enough room. Does Nancy have the same issues, or does she shop every day so storage isn't an issue? I think you almost need 2 refrigerators,
Yeah, and the thing is, we moved into this house in 2017, and the refrigerator, it was just a couple that lived here, and actually they didn't really live here very long. It's a very small little refrigerator space. It's kind of all the cabinets are all around it, so it's not really hard to kind of change that. So I have a pretty small inside refrigerator, but I make it work. I do store all my nuts, my seeds, my grains. I do all of that in the fridge because that's kind of from my school, from the way I learned. And I do buy sometimes in bulk. So I have a fridge in the garage as well. Especially if like there's something that I see at the store, like yesterday I bought 2 eggplants and they were beautiful and they were cheap. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get 2 of these. So I have them in my garage refrigerator right now because my inside refrigerator is pretty full. So that is a problem. I do also shop every day because I'm shopping for my clients. I shop before I go over to their house. But since I'm in the grocery store already, there's a lot of times when I'm like, okay, thinking about dinner. What am I going to have? Oh, that broccoli's on sale. I'm going to have broccoli. So I'll pick up that for myself. So
are your clients people that are already vegan, or they just want somebody to cook for them?
Well, that's the thing. It's a both, and I'm trying to fade away from the clients that are not vegan. I'm really trying to focus, and that's what really helped me at Mainstream Vegan Academy is there's a couple things that I've kind of switched up since going there, but one of them is really focusing on helping people transition. And so I do have some clients that are not vegan, that are just happy that I make them veggies, veggie dishes. And I'm happy that they're eating some vegetables, and probably more than if I wasn't their chef. But it's a mixed bag. I'd really like to have more vegan and more people that I'm helping cooking with them in the kitchen, or just helping them transition, because
you're cooking vegan food for them though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. No, I'm not cooking any non-vegan food at this point.
I just noticed your backsplash. Very nice. I'm a big fan of backsplashes. That's my
Thanks. Yeah, we put that in when we moved in. We put in that black backsplash, and then I also got this beautiful wolf range. So because it had just this little tiny little cooktop, electric cooktop, and I put in the wolf range.
Maggie says she's enjoying listening to you.
Great.
So it's not really a question, but it's a statement, and I'd like to address it. Where did it go? It was about, here it goes, from Susan. It's hard cooking for one person. I have lots of leftovers. Do you have any advice? Because I personally love leftovers, because then that means I don't have to cook again.
That's the school I'm from, Chef AJ. I batch cook, like I roast a bunch of vegetables and have them in my fridge, and I'm just like, yay, I don't have to, I don't have to cook, because it's crazy, but I'm cooking all day for other people, and sometimes when I get home I'm like, okay, now I got to cook for myself. So I love having the leftovers. But one of the things I do with my clients is, especially I have a client right now who is single, and she eats exclusively my food. And so what we do is we rotate, and she has to freeze stuff. So I make her an entree with like 3 different portions, and then she eats one. Now she throws 2 in the freezer, and then the next week she gets more, and she kind of rotates it through. So getting really religious about writing down what you have in your freezer, making sure, and just kind of The other thing, start with like 5, 6 different meals that you can kind of rotate through. You don't have to you don't have to make them exactly the same, but because you want the diversity and certainly seasonality, but of vegetables, but your freezer. And also I love leftovers. So I hope that helps.
Me too. Susan says, do you store your dry beans in the refrigerator?
No, I don't. I store my dried beans in glass jars in my pantry. And I also, so I have 3 different beans that are kind of the beans that I eat the most. So I buy my beans actually in 20-pound bags and put them in 5-gallon buckets in a closet in my house. So I have garbanzos, black beans, brown, these beautiful brown Spanish lentils that I like, and red lentils. And they're all from Washington State, where I'm from. So I'm supporting my local growers. And so I put those in 5-gallon buckets, and then I scoop out to fill up my glass jars. That might not work for everybody, because I also have 2 kids who that's one thing I do for my adult children, is let them bring their bucket to fill up for beans. So they can come over anytime and fill up for their supply.
What's the vegan community like in Bainbridge Island? Is there one?
Yeah, we have one. Before the pandemic, we were having it's called Vegan Islanders, and before the pandemic, we were having potlucks, and sometimes at people's houses. Sometimes we would rent a community hall. We have a small but happy and vibrant community. I think we all are wishing and hoping for more vegan options. We have a new restaurant that started not that long ago, but it's all kind of junk food vegan, but at least it's vegan. But I think we're all longing for more vegan options from our restaurants.
Yep. So back to the Buddha bowl. What Susanna wants to know, what is your typical Buddha bowl like? What kind of things do you put in it?
Well, I love sweet potatoes, like many of us. So I definitely do a big roast up a big batch of sweet potatoes. I also am, I love beans. I eat a lot of beans. I'm kind of a beanitarian. So I always have mostly garbanzos, but sometimes black beans in there. And I batch cook. I definitely batch cook beans. I make big pots of beans. And then greens of something green. I try to have something green at every meal. So whether it's sauteed kale, broccoli rabe, broccoli, something green. I always try to have something red, either red peppers or red tomatoes, depending on the season and what's nowadays. It's like what I can afford. And then I always have purple cabbage. I love purple cabbage, and I think it's really good for you. I think of purple cabbage as a superfood, and it's beautiful.
I love that too. I love combining hot and cold together,
Yeah, I definitely do that. One of my favorite items, for the most part, I'm pretty good with a knife, so I don't do a lot of pre-chopped vegetables, but I totally think that people should use them if that's what works for you. But my favorite is shredded carrots. And I do buy shredded carrots, and I love my shredded carrots because I put those on everything. And that pop of orange and that crunch, and they're just so quick and easy to have around. Unfortunately, right now, I can't get them in the store. I don't know exactly what the problem is with them.
Can't get carrots, really?
Shredded carrots. I can get carrots.
Oh, okay. Okay. I got
Not
it.
shredded. I love my shredded carrots. I love the packaged shredded carrots.
I got it. I always see it at Trader Joe's.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. When we don't have a Trader Joe's on the island, but I can go, it's about 40 minutes away, and I can go to a Trader Joe's, and there's definitely, there's other stores around the Trader Joe's that I can, this is going off the bridge on the other side of my island. We always stock up when we go to that area at Trader Joe's.
nice. Or you could always have shredded carrots the old-fashioned way. Great.
Yeah, and that's actually what I'm going to have, shredded carrots in my recipe today. And I'm going to shred them the old-fashioned way.
Nice. Kathy says, I've heard mung beans need to be prepared a special way, different than other beans. Is that true? And if so, how?
I love green mung beans. Regular. So, I do mung dal, which is like a yellow split mung bean, but just the green mung beans that you find in the grocery store, I've never done anything special with them, and I love them. That's another bean that's very underutilized. I actually do soak them. I soak my lentils too, because I found, especially when I was doing the restaurant, when I did these bean salads, I found that that everything would cook more evenly when I soaked. So I soaked my lentils and I soaked my mung beans. And I've never done anything special to cooking them. I just cook them. Cook them up and just throw them in a salad or in your Buddha bowl. They're awesome. And they kind of have I think they kind of taste, and maybe just my taste buds, I think they kind of taste like sunflower seeds to me. They have a real nutty kind of taste.
Nice. Susanna says, how do you freeze your beans?
I make a big batch. I've figured out that I can do 4 cups of dried beans in my 6-quart Instapot. So I do a full batch of beans. I soak them overnight and whatever, cook them. And then after they're cooked, I spread them out on a cookie sheet. And I used to just use a Silpat because you need something, but I don't know why I hadn't thought of this before, but Silpats, you pull them up, and then there's the water kind of gets underneath, and then I end up popping all the beans all over the place. So I stopped using Silpat a couple years ago. Instead, I put a piece of parchment paper on them, under them, and then spread them out, throw them in the freezer, wait till they're frozen, and then I can take my parchment paper and just lift up, and they all come off. They're all individual that way. Throw them in a bag, and then I keep them in the freezer.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, let me show you.
Great questions, you guys. Thank you. Oh, if you have a
That's
neighbor.
about all I have left of my garbanzo beans. I just realized my black beans I cooked yesterday, and they're all still on the cookie sheet in the other freezer. So, but I keep them in these Ziploc bags in the freezer, and then I can just take out a scoop. It's also really great because you can just put, if you want, for a Buddha bowl or for a salad or whatever, you're not opening up a whole can, which is totally fine too. Canned beans, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, but I just love the convenience of being able to scoop out just a few.
Nice. So you have a neighbor, not an exact neighbor, but Janet is near you, and she says, hello, neighbor. Do you have a meetup page? And she lives, where do you live, Janet? I know you live close. Hold on. I saw a post and it went away. But do you have yeah, she says she's in Poulsboy.
Pulsbo. Is that it?
I don't know, Poulsbol, Poulsbo.
Yeah, Poulsbo. Yeah, I'm very, very, very close. Very close. I don't have a meetup or anything, but You can connect with me through my website, and also join Vegan Islanders. Join that Facebook group, Vegan Islanders. We have people from Polsvo and Suquamish and the whole area, Indianola. Those are all the little towns on the other side of the bridge from Bainbridge Island.
Nice. And Deborah says, do you cook your beans in the Instant Pot?
I do. I really, I was very skeptical of the Instant Pot because of my macrobiotic background. But when I first saw a Instant Pot, I was cooking for a family that they had been raised macrobiotic, and they were very kind of a little bit of macrobiotic royalty was where he was from. And they had this Instant Pot, and I had never seen one before. And I was like, is this okay? Just kind of because, in macrobiotic cooking, we all used pressure cookers. I mean, pressure cookers are a big part of it. But what I love about the Instant Pot is consistency. You know that 4 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever you're cooking, you know exactly how long it's going to cook, and the next time you try it the exact same way, it's going to work.
Nice. Here is a question from Kathy. When making food, in your opinion, what is the magic? What's most important to getting the best outcome? The chopping, the spices, the food combinations. So what's the secret sauce other than the sauce itself?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it is a combination of the chopping, making sure that things are chopped the right size, making sure your food and your spices are super fresh and, the best quality you can get. I think it is, having a good recipe, having good taste, because a lot of times, you can put some spices or something in and it doesn't taste quite right, even though you've had it before. So you have to add a little bit more. It just could be the spices or the vegetables or whatever. And spices, having the freshest spices. I buy all my spices and make sure that they are as fresh as possible. But then I also think that there is a magic ingredient of like good energy and good positive vibe that, I think you put it in your food. And I think that people are going to be more attracted to your food if you're in a good frame of mind, which I always make sure I am when I'm cooking for other people, especially. I think it's all of it.
Nice. And Janet says the group you mentioned joining, is that a Facebook group? Is it a meetup group?
What?
The group you recommended your neighbor Janet to join.
Oh yeah, it's a Facebook group. I'm sorry. Yeah, and I'm sure that it's you'll be able to find it. It's Vegan Islanders. There is another group that's like very close to Vegan Islanders in the name, that's in some foreign country. And we've had some people try to join, but I think you'll figure it out. It says something about Bainbridge in there. Nice.
Well, now to the moment we've all been waiting for. You're going to teach us how to elevate our quinoa.
Yes. So I've been making this quinoa salad. My gosh. I mean, this is one of the staple recipes in my repertoire for my clients. And these are recipes. I have like 100 or so that I don't really write down. They're just things that are in my head that I just make the same way every time, depending on seasonality. But this is one of my favorites, and it's one of my clients' favorites. So you don't have to elevate it, but you can elevate it. But we're going to do it a couple different ways. So let me start by getting the dressing ready. And there is something about there's something in curry. So this is my curry powder. And I have all my spices are in these jars. This one's almost out, but I have more. All my spices are in these jars. And for some of them, I have a teaspoon already in there so that it's super easy to make a dish. So that's 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons of curry. And then I'm going to put in some seasoned rice vinegar. And this is in the dressing. We're just getting the dressing ready. So there's 2 different types of rice vinegar. There's seasoned and unseasoned. If you are concerned about sugar, you should probably use the unseasoned. There is a little sugar in the seasoned, but I am going to use the seasoned. If you use the unseasoned, you're still going to have to put some sort of sweetener in, because I've found that the curry powder is a little bit, it's a little bit bitter, and you need something. So you can totally use like a date syrup. If you use the rice vinegar, this plain rice vinegar, I'm also putting in a little bit more sweetener. My recipe calls for it. I put in a little bit of maple syrup just to take away the bitterness. So I don't really know what the magic is, but there's something in this curry powder, all curry powder, I think. It's one of the spices just kind of gets a little bit, it kind of thickens it a little bit. So I found that letting it sit while you do the rest of it will just kind of, will thicken it a little bit. And we got those 2 things. Now I'm also going to put in some garlic, and it calls for a clove, but just, this is a huge clove. And so I'm not going to put in all of it. This has a lot of flavor. I'm putting in about that much, about a teaspoon. And I'm leaving this other part of and I'm just using my microplane to get a nice, I like it because it really distributes the flavor really well. And nothing is absolute. That's about a teaspoon of ginger.
Do you have a favorite brand of curry powder?
I like the Frontier brand. And I like the Frontier brand, just the plain curry. It's not the organic. It is not the other, they have a couple different types of curry. The reason why I like it is because it doesn't have any heat. I rather control my heat myself. And it has a lot of flavor, but not much heat. So I got to show off, because my husband set this all up for me. He set up my cam for my stove, but I don't really need my stove. So there's my quinoa. I made my quinoa up ahead of time. And what I did is I added to the quinoa a teaspoon of curry powder. I added currants, and I added the cashews. And the reason I do this is because I'm trying to infuse the flavor of the quinoa, and the currants and the cashews are kind of hiding down there. I'm going to bring it over here. I put it in the bowl. But I found out a long time ago, to get good, I love just making batches of quinoa and just having it on hand. You can't really do that with this, but to get the good curry flavor infused in the quinoa, to cook it with the curry. And then we're also putting curry in the salad dressing. So I got all of that. Now you can see I got it's not raisins, it's currants.
I like currants better because they're smaller.
I like the currants better because they're smaller too. And cooking the currants with the quinoa, it brings out the sweetness. Some of that sweet flavor gets into the into the quinoa. So I also cooked the cashews, and that softens the cashews. They still have a crunch, but the reason why I did that is because I always do this, but I also, because we're going to be putting it in a mold, I wanted everything to be as small as possible. So we are going to now add, I'm going to wait on the dressing a second. Let's get the rest of the stuff in there. I have some scallions, and I cut everything really small. Now I'm doing this in three, plating this in 3 ways. And one way I need it really, really small. You don't have to do it really small if you are, if you're not gonna plate it fancy. And then I have my tomatoes. I use cherry tomatoes because they have the best flavor right now. And I chop them up real small. I also like things chopped small because I think it adds, you get more different things in every bite. And then I did red pepper and orange pepper, and that is just chopped really tiny. I really love those little tiny peppers to do this with. Those little tiny ones you get in the bags in the store, but right now, regular red peppers, yellow peppers, and orange peppers are $1 a piece at the store. So I thought, there's no way I'm not going to get in on that. And then we're going to put in some of,
It's so pretty already.
From cilantro, very pretty. Unfortunately, John Robbins doesn't like it. Oh, well, he's not eating.
Put maybe parsley in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. John Robbins actually did eat at our restaurant. Since what? Back in the day.
Really? Did you meet him? Then did you meet him?
What?
Did you meet
Yeah,
him?
oh, I met him. Yeah. I mean, we were very involved in Earth Save, and we did get to meet him, and he got to meet my little baby Savannah. And I remember he commented on her because she was a little babe in arms. Okay, so I started to shred the carrots, but then I thought I'd show you. I'm not a huge gadget person, but this one is really pretty handy. So it's like this, has this like blade, little scary blade on it. And you can just like you're peeling a carrot. I'm using the fork because I don't want to, you need to have something to stabilize it. And I also don't want to hurt myself. And that should probably, so now I have these long, beautiful shreds, and I'm going to cut them up. And then this will go to my snack or my dog. My dog loves carrots.
Hey, are you anywhere near Ellingsworth, Washington?
Ellensburg?
I thought it was called Ellingsworth. Do you know who Howard Lyman is? Because he lives.
Oh yeah. No, I totally know who Howard Lyman is. In fact, he's a good friend of my daughter's godparents.
And does he live up near you?
No, he lives on the other side of the state.
Okay. And why do I think he might have moved to the Midwest? I don't know. It's been a while since he's been on the show, but
yeah.
He said
that back in the day, we were Howard Lyman. I can still remember that big brouhaha with him and Oprah. Okay, I'm saying that this is about a cup. Seems like it's about a cup. It's going to go into my salad, and I'll get this all mixed. Now I'm going to put in the dressing.
Question from Jerry. Well, first question from Angela. She says, it looks delicious. What is your address? So we'll be right over. And Jerry says, I've never used the little peppers. Do you have to seed them like the big ones? I don't. I just eat the seeds.
Yeah. I mean, there is some seeds in them. Sometimes my experience with those seeds is they're pretty small if they have them. And you could totally just eat the seeds. I mean, if you're doing something like this, you might want to seed them, but a lot of times I've cut them open and there's no seeds. So I'm not exactly sure. But those little peppers, I mean, they were $6 a bag. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get those today. Okay, there's the salad. And just going to move that over here.
You know, those little peppers are great in the air fryer. Do you have an air fryer?
Yes, I do. I have an air fryer. I was using the Go Wise, and I loved it, but it was just one more appliance. And so I really wanted to change it up and have just one appliance on my counter. So I gave my Go Wise to one of my kids, and I got a Cuisinart, and it's an air fryer and a toaster and an oven. And so I like the fact that it's everything, but I don't think it is quite as good an air fryer as the Go Wise.
Ah.
Anyway, okay, so I have a lot of different things here, and I wanted to show you. You can use things like this to be your mold, and this is just a tomato sauce can. If you use this, note that there's one side that is not as it's not quite as wide as the other side. So you definitely want the top of your stack. We're going to stack the food in here and press it in. You want the top to be the narrower version. You can also, I totally have used the like just a measuring cup. You can use a yogurt container. You can just use whatever you like, and this is just kind of elevating your dish. But I am going to show you. This is something you can buy. And I was super excited to try this. And I have this like little kit, and it has everything you need to make your little food stack. I'm going to get a spoon here and put it in. So I've not put the garbanzo beans or the snow peas in, because that just makes it a little harder to do this sort of thing. They're just a little bit too big and hard, but I can totally put them on the plate if I wanted to. And this is not your everyday. This is just making it a little special. Sometimes I just want to just have a little bit of an elevated dining experience. Not just, I can't go out to eat. So I make it myself. I'm just going to put that. And then I think I'm going to put a little bit of purple cabbage on the very top. This is just my favorite, one of my favorites, purple cabbage, and that will just make a really pretty little top for it. And then we're just going to press it down. And then we can move it over here to the plate. We get it centered.
Okay, you're fancy now.
Yeah, this is high tech.
I get it, Fancy Nancy.
Yep. I had that nickname for a point of time. There we go. We have the stack. Now you want to make this extra fancy and fun.
Well, somebody here has had restaurant experience.
I made these sauces yesterday. Super, super easy. You get these squeeze bottles. I got them. I think I might have gotten them on Amazon, or my local grocery store sells some squeeze bottles. And in this one I just took a mango, and I blended it with some California balsamic lemon vinegar, and just blend it in the blender till it's nice and thin and smooth. And then I actually added a little bit, I got the taste just right. And then I add a little water because I wanted to thin it out a little bit. And then I made one with the with a roasted red pepper. All I did is I roasted a red pepper. I took off all the black skin. I roasted it in the, I have a gas stove, so I roasted it on my stove, but you could totally do it in the oven. And then I did the same thing. I added some California balsamic white vinegar. You know, they have all those beautiful flavors. I just go for ones that have a more light color instead of the dark color, like the lemon or the lavender or something like that. And I thinned it out to where I liked it. And then I put it in the squeeze bottle. And then I was like, man, I have a little bit of this red pepper left and I have a little bit of the mango left. Why not mix them together? This is awesome. And then what I'm going to do with this afterwards is I can use these as salad dressings for all week. You know, they're really yummy. They're just the vinegar and the pepper or the mango. And you can do this with other things too. You could probably puree anything and just get it thin. And so let's give it a whirl. Doing it on the fly. We can make it look pretty. We'll do a little, whoops, darn it. I hit the thing, but you know what? We're gonna recover. Take that off. How is she gonna make this look good? You get some flowers. I can't really repair my stack, but I can hide it with.
Elodie says this is an amazing presentation.
Oh. It would have been better if I hadn't nicked the side, but we'll put some flowers right here.
It's not what you can make, it's what you can fix.
Yep. And so I have some marigolds and I have some bok choy flowers, and we will put a little bit more different color. And that is that.
That is gorgeous.
Not exactly what I thought, but it's pretty good. So that is one way of doing, and that's for somebody with you want to serve something else. That's not very much. That's about a cup of salad. So let me just quickly clean up my board. And then we'll get to another way you can do this.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned California balsamic because you're going to get 2 free bottles in the flavors of your choice just for being on the show.
Oh, that is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people come on the show just to get their free vinegar.
Awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my salad, and I have garbanzo beans, and I just cut some snow peas. So I'm going to put those in now because now I'm making kind of a heartier salad. And we'll get these plated up real quick here. So I got the pepper and I just cooked it in the oven. I hollowed it out and cooked it in the oven till it's kind of soft. I like cooking it because I think it's a little hard. It's a little hard to, let me show you. I think it's a little hard to eat when it's not cooked, but you don't have to cook it. You can use a raw pepper. And then I have and this gives you a bigger portion, I think. And then I just have a bok choy leaf on the plate. And I have some chive blossoms. I fought off the bees. The bees were going crazy for these things in my garden this morning, but just kind of sprinkle those and sprinkle a little bit of red cabbage on the top. And there you go.
Is there a way we can see all three plates next to each other?
I will try. I'll try when we're done.
And what was that green thing on the bottom? Was that a leaf?
Yeah, it was a bok choy leaf.
Wow, that, because yesterday one of the other Main Street Vegan Academy guests, Chris Day, said you're never supposed to put anything on the plate as a garnish that isn't edible.
Yeah, totally. You can eat these. This is a marigold, and I actually buy it from these plants from somebody who specializes in edible starts. So yeah, you can totally eat all of the things on my plate. So then the third way is more of a quick, but it still can be beautiful. I'm just going to make a salad. I love romaine, but the romaine looked did not look good at the store this morning. So I said, forget it. Being flexible about your ingredients, I think, is another good tip. It's pivoting. There we go. We got a nice bed of lettuce, and then you just take an ice cream scoop and just put a couple scoops in there.
That's how I do it, because that's the easiest.
It's the easiest, but you still can make it, it still can be beautiful.
And I get more that way. The other two, the portions were too small for me.
Yeah, well, it's for when you're serving other things along with it, you know, for a special. But yeah, I mean, this is what I'm going to have for lunch. And then I have a few cashews I'm going to put on top. Okay, so let me see if I can get all of these guys in the picture. We'll see. Kind of. There you go.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So that's that.
If I had that pepper, Kathy says, I wonder if you'd ever cut the pepper on the plate. I would just pick it up and eat it.
Yeah, you could pick it up and eat it, or you could make it into boats, you know, instead of having it top. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to do it as a boat or as a whole pepper. You do it any way you like.
Yep. Elodie says this is pure gastronomy. Rita says, do you have any details about cooking quinoa?
Well, my biggest thing is I'm a bit of a quinoa snob. I like the royal quinoa, which is the quinoa that is that is grown in Bolivia, not Peru. So it has the bigger grain. I really, really like the Bolivian. It's also pre-washed. Royal quinoa is supposed to be pre-washed. So I think that I never boil my water ahead of time. I always put it in the quinoa and the water in at the same time, and it is cool water. I don't think that it necessarily makes a difference, but I'm just saying what I do. And then cook it until, you know, I wait till it comes up to a boil, turn it down, and then wait till the water is absorbed. And then once I've seen the water is absorbed, usually about 10 minutes, I leave the lid on. I leave it on that burner, but I turn that burner off and then just let it cool. That's how I do it. And I have pretty good quinoa results.
I just do it in the Instant Pot.
Yeah, you can do it in the Instant Pot too. That's awesome. Yeah. I find that especially if I want it a little drier, the Instant Pot makes, what is your water to quinoa ratio?
Oh, I believe it's 1 to 1.5 is what I do.
1 to 1.5. Yeah, I usually do 1 to 1.25 when I do quinoa in the Instant Pot. That's maybe why mine's drier.
Yeah, that's not bad. And I think I just do it for like 2 minutes. And then I think the secret, at least in the Instant Pot, isn't so much the water, but letting it come down to pressure naturally and just giving it time.
Yes, definitely. And it's like people have asked me, well, why would I ever do it in the Instant Pot if it takes the same amount of time on the stove? The problem with on the stove is you got to watch it. You got to babysit it. You got to think about it. But that's another great thing for doing it in the Instant Pot I love the Instant Pot for that, is just, I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I'm from the old school of waiting till the pressure cooker got to pressure and then timing it and hoping that, I didn't have to go to the bathroom, and then it had already gotten to pressure, and how many minutes, and so I'm really grateful for the ease of the Instant Pot.
You do the same ratio of water to quinoa on the stove, don't you? Or do you change it?
No, I do it more. I do more. Yeah, I do 1 to 1. I 2 to 1 on the stove.
Wow. I just always, I don't know. I can't memorize stuff. So I just do it all.
Yeah. No, I do 2 to 1 on the stove. But I definitely, I have, this quinoa is very moist. I have very moist quinoa. I don't want it, and it's not overcooked or anything, but and I definitely don't have any extra moisture in there, but also I'm putting, in this recipe in particular, I'm putting the raisins or the currants and the curry in there, and they're absorbing a little of the water as well.
Nice. Which one of the 3 plates are you going to eat first?
I don't know. My husband's in the other room. So it's going to be a battle. He came home because he set me up with this camera system is what I use for my cooking classes. And I was lucky enough that he came home to help me with that, because this is not something I need to learn, because he's always around.
Nice. Barbie says, wonderful presentation and meal ideas. And Kathy says, what's the difference with sprouted quinoa?
It's sprouted, and I think they sprout it and then they dry it. It's the same, I love GABA rice. It's the same thing. They've sprouted it. It makes, there's with the rice, at least, it brings out, I know there's a digestibility issue that they claim is better, but I don't really know much about sprouted quinoa, except for it must be sprouted and dried.
Very cool. Let's see. So you put more water than grain, though. It's always more water than grain. People are saying which part which part which. Okay.
Oh yeah. It's always the grain and the water. Technically, if you were in a completely vacuumed environment in your Instant Pot, you could probably just do 1 to 1. But you still have a little bit of steam. I've actually researched this a little bit, how much water actually is absorbed. I was researching it more in terms of rice than quinoa, but I'm guessing it's about the same. And rice absorbs 1 cup of water for every dry cup, but you need that extra water because it boils off and the steam and stuff like that.
As much as I love my Instant Pot, and I do, and I have a bunch of them and use them every day, I prefer to make rice in my rice cooker, because then I just put it up to the line. I don't have to like think about how many cups of water. You know what I mean? Because there's the
Yeah.
little things there.
Yeah. No, I totally, I have my Zojirishi rice cooker from before Instapots and I still use that occasionally.
Yeah.
But also I found that Instapot rice, I'm sure people are very successful with it. I've not been that successful. And maybe it's partly because I want to just dump it in and go.
Yep, I get it. So you may come back if you like and do another presentation, even when it's not Main Street Vegan Academy a week. You're very talented. Your food is delicious. Your presentation's spectacular. So maybe just tell people a little bit why they might want to consider taking the Main Street Vegan Academy course, which is going to be in October of this year.
You know, if you are a dietary vegan and you really, especially if you're fairly new to the lifestyle, I know you think that maybe nothing will make you falter and you'll be vegan forever. But I really think that the amount of people that I know that got into it and then something tripped them up and then they left, kind of, and then regretted it. Going to the Main Street Vegan Academy and going to vegan school will absolutely cement the deal for you. And because having more than one reason to be vegan, understanding the immense environmental impact, the immense animal suffering, the immense, just even the fashion, all of that stuff. It's so good to know all those other reasons why you're doing what you're doing, especially on the days when you're kind of like, maybe I'll just go and get a hard-boiled egg, or, I don't know what people get these days, but it will help keep you on track because you'll realize you're doing it for other reasons other than the dietary reason.
That's great.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. And you said your husband went with you, right?
No, my current husband, who's a doll. I met him in 2014. He was not vegan. He was not vegetarian. And he is my kind of like, because I don't remember what it was like to transition, and my kids never transitioned. So I don't have that kind of like, knowing, firsthand knowing, but his cholesterol dropped, his weight dropped. He has way more energy. He's really, really happy to join me on this journey. He's really grateful, really grateful.
Nice. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. This was a wonderful presentation, and please come back and do some more. A lot of grain questions today, like how do you know when you're supposed to rinse your grains?
If you're buying your grain in, I would say any grain you should rinse, especially if you're buying it in the bulk bin, because you want to get all the dust and stuff off. Sometimes even barley, like I'll roast barley, but I wash it first and dry it. Same with millet. I always wash it first. I don't really know, with the exception of quinoa that I'm buying in a package that I know is pre-washed, I wash all my grains.
Nice. Okay, well, great. Well, thanks so much.
Yes, it was great. It was great meeting you, and thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back in 90 minutes when I have a bonus show. It is a wonderful plant-based registered dietitian named Desiree Nielsen, who has a new book called Good for Your Gut. And she's also going to be doing a culinary demonstration of some chickpea umami burgers that you